Knight of Magic, Mistress of Legerdemain, what a tumultuous history you have. Zatanna Zatara, originally clad in light blue, was the Silver Age reinvention of her father, Giovanni Zatara. Born of fetish wear at a time when DC actively discouraged women from being anything but useless, Zatanna got her start in Hawkman number 4, where she was split in two, having to communicate with the Thanagarian couple in hopes that she would be put back together. Needless to say, the entirety of what I've dubbed as her first story arc, The Search for Father, is just Z relying on male superheroes to aid in the quest of finding her father. The exceptions would be only partial, in Tech issues 336 and 335, wherein Zatanna herself is sparse and still largely secondary. This culminates in JLA number 57, Z as in Zatanna, and 0 Hour, and continues off on a subtle trend, where at one point the narrative merely acknowledged her in order to be passed up for Dr. Fate, World's Finest number 208. I digress. Within Zatanna's troubled, sparse early appearances lurks a gem, Zatanna's final secondary feature in Supergirl Volume 1, The Rock of Revenge. Sizzling stars! The story starts out as Zatanna finds a floating family upside down. Turns out it's because of a little balding cretin pulling a prank. So what does the spoiled sport do? Why, he pranks Zatanna, having King Arthur's sword, Excalibur, manifest before her, and upon her touch, trapping her in the rock. Now, what sets this story apart is how out of place and zany it is. Zatanna has her fair share of mundane short stories where she saves a dog or a kid, but this one in particular has her merely wander through a park and by chance enrage a turbo man-baby. From there, we see what may well be the most diverse and creative use of her magic out of all of her pre-crisis appearances. First, she has a cloud reach down to try and rip her out. Then, she disappears the ground beneath her. Then, she uses a bunch of drills and power tools, before finally she sends her astral projection to find a descendant of King Arthur to remove her from the stone. What's interesting about this feat is how she was able to search through millions of people around the world in seconds, and then tangibly grasp the target and rush back to her physical body, also in seconds. Essentially, dwelling within Zatanna's earlier appearance is an astral form that can search out a genetic match around the world through millions of people within seconds, and can interact with physical objects whilst herself being intangible. Can you imagine if Zatanna sent her projection out like that to fight a target? Being able to move faster than light and air as the laws of physics seemingly misapply, if at all. With that pinpoint accuracy, she could absolutely annihilate any given villain of her choice with a swift punch. Or perhaps she could turn only a part of her captive intangible, resulting in dimensional terror. This technique, as it's seen, or really any of these spells, are never used again. Oh, and as for the fat bozo that tried to imprison her forevermore, Merba the sorcerer, was it? Nothing happens to him. In fact, he never appears again. Just a random loser lost in Zatanna's memories. Later on, Zatanna actually loses her powers for no good reason at all. What was the ad hoc reasoning given? A cosmic imbalance, which she ends up righting in a fight with her negative energy found form, only to remain weak. Was she becoming too powerful from this point on? To be covered at a later date.